Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is ArghGodzirra, and today we'll be counting down my selections for the top 10 worst video games of 2020. To qualify for this list, they need to be titles that I've played myself throughout the duration of the year. 2020 has been a year that has seen many triumphs and downfalls when it comes to the gaming world, which has become more prevalent this year due to a global pandemic which has seen us forced into our homes on lockdown. While this has caused many setbacks on developmental fronts, there are a handful of games this year that once delivered fell incredibly short of the marker, and not even illness that has infected millions worldwide is enough of an excuse to save them. Let me know in the comments down below which game or games were the worst for you in 2020, and without further delay, let's get this video started. Number 10. Predator Hunting Grounds. This game had so much promise, the beta delivered a lot, and then when it came to the full release, I don't know what happened, it just fell so short of the marker. You've got the developers of Friday the 13th, which is cultly beloved by the players that follow that game. I'm one of those people within that cult, and they have nailed down the basics of the asymmetric multiplayer genre, system, whatever you want to call it. One player plays as a hulking overpowered character, everyone else goes after them or tries to escape. Applying this to one of the most treasured monster IPs in entertainment history, and we should have been absolutely out of the gates. What could go wrong? Well, with a tiny selection of just 3 maps, an awful field of combat whenever you're stuck playing as the Marines, and even the Predator being clumsy as hell thanks to his auto-animating Predcore movement system, everything just falls short. Yes, all of the sound effects and cool trophy kill style animations are here, but when the core of how everything feels is so cheap and unsatisfying, Hunting Grounds runtime quickly devolves into only a few short rounds. Number 9. Bleeding Edge.
Back here.
I will admit, this was a title that I was keen to dive into because when it comes to the hero combat genre, similar to things like Overwatch, Valorant, games of that nature, this really intrigued me. However, when it comes to Xbox and Microsoft, they seem to have an issue with securing high quality exclusive titles. So when they acquired this, it was welcome news. Everyone was excited because it was made by Ninja Theory, the same company that brought about games like Heavenly Sword and Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Unfortunately, Ninja Theory's talents were perhaps best saved for their upcoming Hellblade sequel rather than being diverted to create a lackluster, team-based multiplayer title. The characters were there, but everything else just kind of went out the window, and when you don't even include something like a ranked gaming system within this kind of genre, you know you're setting yourself up to fail. Number 8. Dawn of Fear. Dawn of Fear deserves props for his insistence on delivering a classic old-school fixed-camera horror game in the vein of older games like Resident Evil and Silent Hill. 2 franchises that I absolutely love, and if you've been on the channel before, you'll know how much of a Resident Evil fanboy I truly am. But beyond that, there's not much else to like here, which is incredibly unfortunate. Poorly balanced weapons that ruin the flow of the gameplay, a laundry list of technical issues that actively get in the way of the enjoyment, tons of visual bugs and performance problems. The list just keeps going on and on. You have to commend developers Broken Sight for going all out in an attempt to remind us why the early days of Resident Evil and Silent Hill were so great. But if you really want to revisit classic old school horror games such as those, you're better off playing the remasters on modern consoles instead. Number 7. Mafia II Definitive Edition.
My name is Vito Scaletta. I was born in Sicily in 1925.
Mafia II Definitive Edition is, of course, bogged down by the flaws that hampered the original game. It feels like a dull and lifeless open world, the gunplay is a little bit boring, uninspired mission design. Of course, it wouldn't be fair to expect a remaster to fix all of those issues, but with the remasters that we have seen getting churned out, like the Final Fantasy VII Remake, Resident Evil 2 Remake, you'd think something like Mafia II would be able to step up to those kind of standards. What really stings with this one is the fact that it doesn't succeed even as a remaster. The updates made to the visuals barely even do the bare minimum. There are numerous audio issues and glitches, the frame rate is absolutely shocking, and other technical issues are thrown in the mix as well. Though the box says Definitive Edition, it's really just a glorified texture pack, and not a very good one at that.
Shit!
Number 6. WWE 2K Battlegrounds. With WWE and 2K sitting aside their mainline series this year from the fallout that came with WWE 2K20, they turned to a more arcadey approach with WWE 2K Battlegrounds. Sorry Battlegrounds, you had so much potential and you're good for a few rounds, but when the potential is there to match games like WWE All-Stars or the unbelievably great Def Jam series, this just wasn't good enough. Typified by letting you win a match by literally slapping the same button over and over again, thereby stun-locking your opponent and going for the pin with the same output, Battlegrounds was clearly designed for younger gamers in mind, but didn't even have enough charm to hook them as well. From bizarrely caricatured wrestler models that looked prototyped rather than deliberate, to a totally barren story mode and even a push towards microtransactions, in which the only way you can unlock other superstars is by grinding out the game and having to go through tedious fights, fight after fight after fight, or opening mummy and daddy's wallet to use their credit card. This should have been an easy stopgap between the bigger WWE games that we get each year, but unfortunately, it almost falls completely flat. I'm probably not the only one who's sitting here thinking that I would rather WWE 2K Battlegrounds make like John Cena, so we can't see it anymore. Number 5. The Outer Worlds Switch Edition.
Better, thanks to you. I might have bled out on my own.
The Outer Worlds is rather tragically and upsettingly just not built to run on a mobile adjacent processor. The Switch's Tegra X1 has pulled off some phenomenal things. We've seen Doom 2016 running smoothly, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt arriving with all content intact, and even Wolfenstein 2 The New Colossus being solid, fun, and just really enjoyable. These 3 examples are where the Switch is currently running at, but all of that is always down to time and to talent. Somewhere along the way, developers Virtuous were clearly struggling getting this over the finish line, but whatever money will make anyway was clearly chosen over a much needed delay. This just isn't acceptable. The game barely runs on the Nintendo Switch. The frame rates are all over the place. Textures either don't load in or stay in their pending states for far too long. Clothing detail and graphical clout in general is reduced so much from the PS4 and Xbox One editions, it's just laughable. Which is incredibly upsetting, because I feel The Outer Worlds is a brilliant game, one that I would love to have Nintendo Switch gamers be able to experience. Unfortunately, it's just not up to scratch. Number 4. Fast and Furious Crossroads.
Looks like a storm's approaching.
You and Lydia have known each other for a long time, right?
Forever.
Slightly Mad Studios developed Fast and Furious Crossroads, the same developer behind titles such as Project Cars and Need for Speed Shift. Yet with a seemingly small budget that mainly went towards getting all the voice actors on board, the game was plagued with bugs and poor controls. I'm clearly not the only one here thinking that this was just a get-rich-quick scheme by trying to cash in on the notoriety of the Fast and Furious franchise. Unlike the movie franchise the game is part of, Crossroads appears to be missing those drama-fueled and thrilling moments, with most races boiled down to simply being dull and too easy. What also doesn't help is that the game's visuals appear to be quite dated, with many critics comparing it to a mobile game. In addition, the title has numerous issues, including a camera which struggles to frame the racing on screen, poor controls, and uninspired mission design. But what can I say? Fast and Furious franchise hasn't been the same since Tokyo Drift.
Get back!
Number 3. Crucible.
It can alter the physical properties of matter in a way that science is just beginning to understand.
One of the more wild rides of 2020 came from Amazon Game Studios. They attempted to break into the online character shooter market alongside titles like Overwatch, and Crucible represented Amazon's first original major platform game to come from its gaming division. You could select from different heroes, each that had their own abilities in various objective-based game modes. The other feature that Amazon was banking on was that Crucible was going to come to Steam as a free-to-play game, which would hopefully attract the attention of many gamers worldwide. After launching in May, the game ultimately failed to catch on with fans, experiencing little to no marketing or fanfare from players, and quickly settled in at 100 to 200 concurrent players total. The developer surprisingly announced a month later that Crucible would instead move back into beta state, as the studio believed it launched too early and was missing many important features. It just felt like a hodgepodge of quest lines and characters that were taken from all different things and just thrown together. It was a good concept, and I loved the look of it, but it just failed to deliver a coherent experience. Everything just felt so segregated. And unfortunately, on November 9th, the servers were shut down for good and Crucible is no more. Did I say unfortunately? Maybe for some, I mean fortunately. Number 2. The Elder Scrolls Blades. The Elder Scrolls is one franchise that I have followed for a very long time, with The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim being one of my favourite video game experiences of all time. However, The Elder Scrolls Blades was never going to be one of those fully fledged Elder Scrolls experiences, and expecting anything along those lines would have always led to disappointment. And sadly, if you expected anything good to come out of something with the Elder Scrolls name tag, this is going to lead to a hell of disappointment. Blades has boring, simplistic combat which just involves mashing buttons together and swinging a sword back and forth, an excess of mechanics that are constantly pushing you to spend more money, dreadful and bland environments, and a surprisingly huge amount of technical issues. The biggest drawback for me, as I just mentioned, is this game is constantly in your face trying to get money off you. Yes, this is a free-to-play game. I completely understand that. I understand as well when it comes to free-to-play games, some companies are dependent on microtransactions to make money from said games. However, I haven't seen a game that is so in your face wanting to grab money off you than The Elder Scrolls Blades, which is so terribly uncomforting for myself because Bethesda has always been one of my favourite gaming developing studios. It uses the fact that this is a mobile game as an excuse for being a poor product, but there is just so much that goes wrong with this game that has put it in that category in its own right. Number 1. Marvel's Avengers.
We'll explain later. Don't worry, she's up to it.
When you look at games like the PS4 exclusive Marvel Spider-Man, Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics revealed that they were going to be doing the multi-platform title Marvel's Avengers to an excited crowd back at E3 in 2019. Taking a page from other looter shooters like Destiny and Borderlands, players would be able to play as iconic heroes such as Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, and the Hulk, plus many more, as they completed missions, acquired new loot to grow stronger, and customized their heroes with new skills and other forms of progression. On paper, everything sounded really promising, and was actually one of my most anticipated releases for 2020. But what was actually released just didn't live up to fan expectations. While many enjoyed the story, and I personally loved the story, and the feel of each of the heroes, the game began to suffer once the live service elements took over after the campaign finished. Worst yet, post-launch content which was expected to launch shortly after the game has been delayed. That has been due to the COVID pandemic, and I completely understand that. But when people are promised something, they are going to get in the faces of the company when it doesn't deliver. You only need to look as far as Cyberpunk 2077 and what CD Projekt Red are currently dealing with now. But not only all of these technical issues, the combat system falls incredibly short and feels so repetitive. Every mission you undertake, you are doing the exact same thing. Point A to point B, the same tedious combat system back and forth. Your only hope of breaking up a different kind of combat experience is taking each side quest as a different character each and every time. And even then, once you play as a character for a certain missions and you move on, it becomes tedious playing as that character. That's why when it came to delivering all of these promised heroes for future DLCs, people were excited because of that diversity. So far, we've been delivered one hero who has excited some players, but with a 98% drop-off rate from players that started the game upon release to not playing anymore. Unfortunately, Marvel's already done themselves dirty. This could be a game that could turn things around, but unfortunately, it is my worst game of 2020. So much so that I actually gave up playing it halfway through the series I was doing. So if some of you are wondering, hey Zero, why are you not doing any more Avengers content? It's because I had enough of the game. And personally, I don't want to bring something to my channel that I'm not personally enjoying anymore. I just couldn't get into it. I'm so sorry. And the story was brilliant, and it could have been something incredible, but it turned out to be a disaster. And it sucks.
I think these idiots would be running away by now. Can't shake the feeling we're playing catch-up. There's something else going on here.
Do you agree with my list? Let me know in the comment section down below, as I said at the beginning of the video, which game or games were your worst for 2020. If you did like this video, it would help myself out a lot if you hit that like button down below. If you're new to the channel, there's other content to check out, urge you to do so, and if you happen to enjoy what I'm throwing down, consider hitting that subscribe button and supporting myself a bit more. It would be hugely appreciated if you did. You can hit me up on social media, those links are in the description down below. Be sure to have notifications turned on to get notified every single time something brand new goes down on the channel. But that's it from me, guys. I'm out of here, and as always, I will catch you guys next time.